All right, today we're going to take a look at a growth plan that my PLC and I put together for Waccamaw School. In order to work on the growth plan, I put together a PLC of some examples of teacher leaders. One was a 20-year veteran in the K2 area. This particular year she was kindergarten. Also a school improvement team representative. And her role was mostly to represent K2 as having seen lots of changes over the years. The second teachers are fifth grade science teachers. Our science scores are incredible at Waccamaw School. She's a leader in Science Olympiad and a school improvement team representative as well. Sixth grade math teacher, because she is a teacher leader for Waccamaw and also does some work with the curriculum coaches and a school improvement team representative, and showed an incredible amount of growth for the past school year. The fourth teacher was the eighth grade science teacher, again, leader of Science Olympiad. End of grade scores are incredible, participates in the scheduling committee, which is a difficult job at a K-8 school, and a school improvement team representative. In doing some research, I came across Dr. Richard Elmore, professor of educational leadership at Harvard. He had some things to say that really stuck with me, and the one that I plan to put on my desk for the coming year is that task predicts performance, and that if we spend the time and take the time in putting together the correct tasks and assignments, we will know what their performance will be at the end of the school year. Also worked with Marzano, who was known for his work with PLCs and for his best practices in the classroom. My PLC worked together, looked at his best practices, applied those to what we saw at Waccamaw. The first of which is summarizing, taking notes and with written and oral information. As we approach the next school year with an increased push from the county for computerized testing, taking notes and not just through annotation on a document, but actually taking notes will become very important to our students in order for them to use all of the strategies they're equipped with on that testing. Students take notes using a graphic organizer. Again, that will be part of our school improvement plan. And one of the things that Marzano says is a best practice. Students complete studies of similarities and differences. We do some of that higher order thinking through Venn diagrams is typically what we use the most. But we witnessed that students struggled when a third element was introduced. They did well with the two, with that particular visual, but when you put three circles there, it becomes chaos. So looking at similarities and differences and perhaps investigating some alternative maps other than the Venn diagram. Students practice in the classroom at home. All classrooms were equipped with a set regimen of either worksheets or activities for the day. Homework varied, not only grade to grade, but certainly age level as far as time, and in some cases, homework not given. So some inconsistency there, but that's work in the PLC as to what works best for that particular group of kids, as well as for that grade level. Students will provide non-linguistic representations. The PLC identified lots of examples of this in the science classrooms especially. We see it in K2. If you read a story to a child or a child reads a story and then illustrates the story based on what they know from the class, that it is a non-linguistic representation. We tend to forget that older students need to do that as well, that sometimes that is how they pull the pieces out, is through drawing or non-linguistic representation. Collaborative learning groups. As a school, we still struggle with the true meaning of collaborative learning groups. We break them up into groups that have writers and speakers, but the true depending upon another person for the development of the product, we're still working on. Assignments were not truly collaborative in most of the cases that we witnessed. They were in the presentation. You present this part, I'll do the next part, but not a true collaborative learning activity. Students will know the objectives. Waccamaw School has mastered the essential question and the learning targets. We've spent a lot of professional development with those two areas. It is obvious in each classroom that each teacher understands the purpose and uses them. Students are provided with feedback, especially when using multiple choice testing. It's sometimes difficult to give feedback if all you have graded are A, B, C's, and D's. So we saw a lot of just a pat on the back type stuff. Good work, read carefully, take your time, those types of things. More evidence was there for feedback on the spot while the students were actually working to make sure you remember to look for this particular item, or what should you do in the way this question is posed. What does this question stem mean? More of that than actual written feedback. Students and teachers will engage in academic discourse. It seems to happen when they are told to use academic language, not necessarily a part of the general discussion when PLC would walk in. Students receive reinforcement for effort. We use Dojo as part of our reinforcement for behaviors and other classroom activities. It's not used consistently across all grade levels. It's sort of up to the grade level to see how those points are given. But there was evidence of reinforcement for effort. Students are pre-tested for understanding and provided differentiated instruction and assignments. There was little evidence of pre-testing. And in the event that there was a pre-test, whether it be formative or summative, the actual task involved did not seem to change based on the pre-test data. Students receive recognition. We have work on the walls. We have 9 weeks of awards that are held differently depending on the quarter. But there were several instances of recognizing student work and effort. One of the other pieces to put together before we get to the actual growth plan was a visual checklist, things that we could quickly walk through a classroom and identify as to whether or not they were happening and what the evidence for that was. We had to touch on 5 areas: efficacy and empowerment, results-oriented professional development, recruitment, placement, and mentoring, evaluation, and teacher leadership and decision-making. So we worked together to put together a quick walkthrough checklist, one where it did not seem that somebody was spending way too much time in there to make a teacher nervous. Okay. She loved it when it works fine on one computer and not on the next. So I will provide you with a copy of that walkthrough checklist. We'll move to the gap analysis. From the checklist, we identified some positives and deltas in each area. Efficacy and empowerment. You could walk in the classrooms and know that the teachers understood what they were talking about. They were not having to read from textbooks. They were not having to check themselves when students were asking questions. There were instances where the teacher may say, I'm not sure, let's see what we can find. But that was more of a learning tool for perhaps just the student, or maybe the student and the teacher. So we saw lots of evidence towards efficacy and empowerment. We did see quite a few worksheets being used and not as much true collaboration. Maybe students working in pairs, but they were working on the exact same task. Results-oriented professional developments. Lesson plan showed evidence of learning-focused strategies. That's been a push for our county for a few years. All classrooms had essential questions posted. The teacher working condition survey from 2016 indicated that teachers did not have confidence in the feedback from county professional development. We have learned over the years that teachers prefer, at least at Waccamaw, prefer PD at the school level and feel much more comfortable in asking questions and having somebody on campus to go back to if they needed help. Recruitment, placement, and mentoring. Teachers are knowledgeable. They know how to create the task, and all of our teachers at the end of the school year last year were highly qualified. Mentoring should not stop with a beginning teacher. When they're 5 years or whatever the current beginning teacher time is, it cannot stop there because each year brings a new set of challenges. The PLC should be used to replace that mentor and that place where you can talk with others in your grade level, your subject area, or whatever the PLC may be to continue those types of reflective pieces and questions. Evaluation. In no way should an evaluation be the first time that an administrator has been in a teacher's classroom. On the student level, formative assessments are being used. Pre-testing not being used as much, and there is some inconsistency on what to do with students that get it, which is one of those parts of that PLC. If you take a look at the data for our school, our levels of 4s and 5s they're shrinking. And I think that a lot of that is due to the fact that when those students are finished or they know the material, the next piece to challenge them is not already readily there. Teacher leadership and decision making. Most of our teachers are worker bees, and few of them emerge as teacher leaders, whether it is a problem with just the uncomfortableness of speaking in front of the group, or just not knowing whether or not what they're doing is worthy. And I think that's one of those areas where we really need to make teachers feel more comfortable and being willing to do that. So with all of the data in place, put together a needs assessment, and we feel that administration needs to take action to empower teachers to instruct using a variety of methods, including differentiation for those that excel, to use evidence to professionally express concerns regarding student achievement by engaging in academic discourse with administration and colleagues, and provide leadership roles through delegation of power. For the growth plan for the particular class, these were the areas that we had to make sure we touched on. For the sake of time, we will not go through those, but I can send you an electronic copy of the growth plan that addresses each one of those areas. So, little fast help from problem-solving friends. If it works, we will watch the first one, and it deals with the carrots and sticks approach to leadership. Anybody familiar with carrots and sticks? Yes? Okay, all right. If it will. The first couple of little cartoon pieces from this, we all know that you can bribe people and the people will take the bribe, but it doesn't always give you the results that you intended. With his giant mousetrap, sometimes you get exactly what you've asked for. As an approach to leadership and the empowerment of teachers, bribes do not work and sticks do not work, because the poor coyote continues to get beaten over the head, regardless of how many times you watch the Roadrunner cartoons. He's always trying his best to get the Roadrunner to do what he wants him to do, which is to stop him being eaten, and it never works out for him. So, not using the carrots and sticks approach to leadership, what can we do within the school realm to make that work? The second on here, we will not watch it, is lengthy. It is 5 characteristics of an effective leader, and it uses the Andy Griffith Show and 5 things learned from that show. So if you'd like to watch those,
Email that.
I'm sorry? Email it. It's great. It is great. One of the other people that I did some investigation on was Thomas Guskey, and I liked what he had to say on how to implement change using these particular guidelines. He says, first of all, you have to recognize change as both an individual and an organizational process. You can't change one person and expect it all to change. You can't change the world around them and expect the person to change. It has to work together for it to truly work. Our PLC did some interpretation of what those things mean, just on a sort of a real life basis. Changes must be relevant. They must direct specific needs, which was a lot of the issue with the professional development from the county. It was not that it wasn't good, it just didn't address what we needed as a school. Number 2, think big and start small. The whole idea of jumping into the lake and learning to swim sounds great, but it doesn't always work. You might need to know whether or not you can do it first. Lots of pieces there before you get to the hole. So looking at those short-term steps without starting for the long-term goal, but starting small. Working in teams to maintain support. We see that with new teachers. We see it with veteran teachers. We see it with teachers that have new teaching assignments. We see it with people who are doing the same thing they've been doing for years. We all need support, especially when changes come out. Procedures for feedback on results, that's not just for students. We all like feedback. If we do something, we need to know whether or not it was good, whether it was pleasing to someone, if it met the goal. If it's something we need to work on, then we need to know that so that we don't do it the same way incorrectly each time. Provide follow-up, support, and pressure. Sometimes it takes a little pressure to get things done. Deadlines need to be deadlines. I know in our own school, we saw that happen late in the school year, and I was on one of the last minute people of putting that lesson plan in that folder, that electronic folder, but I got it done, and the only reason I got it done was because I was afraid she was going to send me a note, and I didn't want a note. Number 6, we need to integrate programs. If teachers come back at the beginning of the school year and we have a whole new set of things that we're going to do, then we have defeated our purpose the first day. If we can work in some of the new things we want to do into the things we're already doing, they become commonplace to us, and we don't feel overwhelmed by it. So, for the growth plan, our vision looks a lot like the statement we saw earlier. Waccamaw School will be a learning environment where administration takes action to empower teachers to instruct using a variety of methods, including for the differentiation for those that excel. We do a really good job as a school with those that struggle. We provide tutoring after school. We give up our planning times. We take kids aside. We talk to them on a variety of levels, and we do that for all of the kids who are struggling. But I'm not sure we're spending enough time challenging those kids who already know the material but have to stay in the class. So I think we need some focus on that. To use evidence to professionally express concerns regarding student achievement by engaging in academic discourse with administration and colleagues. Our teacher working condition survey, even though one section will say that teachers are pleased with administration, feel comfortable with administration, when the next one says, what is your comfort level with discussing problems or curriculum, those numbers drop, and we have to change that. And that comes through more better use of our PLC time, not just as a time to find new software to use or some new teacher strategy, but actually some digging into data and figuring out what things are best for students. Provide leadership roles through delegation of power. I have been so blessed at this school to have been given opportunities to do lots of leadership activities over a number of years. And I would love to see other teachers doing the same thing. Some people just aren't comfortable doing it, and you can't, Ms. Browning, I think you said it the other day, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, but you can at least get them to stand around the water trough. And I think if we spend some more time maybe working in pairs with people who are comfortable in leadership roles and sharing some of that, just to bring more people on board with leadership.
And then those who aren't comfortable with leadership, empower them in other ways so that they feel valued.
Right,
I mean,
they may be great at data collection.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd love to have that. All right, so some things we can do for each of those needs. Need number one, differentiation for those that excel. And we have to remember again that this is more on the teacher side of things, not for the student, but the task predicts the performance. So if our task as leaders and teacher leaders works for the teachers, that will show itself in evidence in the classroom. So I think we need to readdress our PLCs and how they're used and what we're doing during that time. We need some rigor analysis on our true assignments. We do lots of tasks and activities that are really good things. I'm not sure that we are where we need to be on the actual assignment piece according to the learning focus framework. Looking into those objectives by DPI, you just can't assume it's always the same. I think we need to make sure we're looking at those continuously. Lesson plans available at all times. Spot checks to make sure that that piece for the students that excel is in place in a lesson plan. Even if you don't have time to read the rest of it, just that little spot check for that particular feature. We have to share some more best practices with the staff. I think that we enjoy seeing other people get up and show off something like that. An idea that I thought I might work with the parent facilitator, just because she may have time, called Earning Eagle Feathers. We have a beautiful foyer in the entryway to our building, but when people come in and the only sign they see is no food or drinks in the gym, it's a negative that I don't like seeing first when I come in. So just some sort of display, maybe on that easel instead of that negative note. Earning Eagle Feathers and a feature for a classroom. Maybe once a month, once every 2 weeks, just depending on how time allows that. The county has done a really good job over the last couple of years with featuring schools, and this past year featuring classrooms. And I think we need to do that on our own school level as well. So that maybe teachers who aren't comfortable in front of adults feel empowered when their class is the one featured in Earning Eagle Feathers. Teachers will participate in academic discourse with administration and others. This is where our focus on PLC comes in, as well as the school improvement team. And we have talked about it as part of the school improvement team. several times about having accessible copies to the notes. That does not happen consistently. And we need to make sure it does. Even if you are not the representative, you are entitled to the information and always welcome to attend. So access to those school improvement team notes needs to be in place. And as part of the school improvement team, for those times we didn't feel like we had anything to talk about, we need to be using some of the data from those PLCs and talk about what's going well and maybe who we could talk to about sharing a best practice and setting that up. Leadership through leadership roles through delegation. Again, having teachers to share best practices. An idea maybe to switch school improvement team members at the end of the semester, so that it's not falling on the same person for an entire year to make it to all of the meetings. And just, for some added involvement, those people on the school improvement team don't necessarily have to speak out in front of adults other than the people sitting in that room. So maybe a good place just to get some new people in that, especially some who have never served on school improvement team, and we do have some of those folks. Okay. So how do you get people to buy into it? Well, integration. It can't seem like more work. We have to embed it into what we're already doing. Sharing. Teachers have to see other teachers in leadership positions. They enjoy it. They learn from it. It gives them that sense that they are valued as a group of people. And we have to encourage each other. Pair and share teams for presentations. So maybe you have the one who enjoys speaking out in front of the group and one who enjoys putting together the actual pieces. And we need to put them together as teams and spend some time celebrating each other. We get bogged down in what test scores reveal about us and about what our classrooms are like. And it is not the tell-all. But we have to remember, task is what shows us performance. Okay. How do we communicate it? Just a few ideas. The school improvement team notes. Maybe a little added blurb to our current newsletter, or an extra little newsletter, a little shout out type newsletter that shows off what somebody's doing. Again, our earning eagle feathers display. One of the things, if I were an administrator, I would be part of the sticky note fan club. And each day I would have 3 sticky notes with the date already probably on them, so I didn't forget what day it was. And as you do walkthroughs, 3 pieces of positive feedback. And not just good work or enjoyed it, but like the way you redirected that kid today. Those kinds of things. I remember a situation with a former assistant principal here who held a class for me. I had to run an errand for Miss Marlowe. And when I came back, he didn't say anything other than, okay, good, here we go, they were fine, no problem. Later in the day, when I went over to my computer, he had left a sticky note with just a little short note about something that he had experienced that went well in the class. And it meant a lot to me. And administrators, we enjoy seeing you in our classroom. I always like it when you come by, even though it might scare me when you walk in the room. I think you need to be a visible part, and especially in middle school, so that you can know the students that are doing well as those who are frequenting your office. We had to put together formative and summative assessment criteria. We talked about all of those. The evidence will be when we see these increased scores come in the college and career ready levels, when we see increased teacher leadership and a higher growth rate for students of all levels. Again, indicators of success, all of the things that are there are things that we have talked about. The resources that you care to investigate them. And that's it. Any questions?
I really like the idea of, once a month, best practices. And it doesn't have to be long, 10 minutes, and you compare with a buddy, if, you know, people are willing to share, it doesn't have to be every month, but, you know, this is something that I saw in some, you know, your classroom, would you share it with everybody? Just, you know, quick idea.
And we tried that, and sometimes they're so reluctant, and it amazes me that we have teachers that cannot get up in front of adults and speak, but we do.
Yeah.
So knowing ahead of time, planning what they, you know,
Right,
get
give
together.
them time, and with the buddy, I
And
think
get a buddy.
it does help. But I think that, you know, the administration has to be the role models for that. You know, I mean, it has to start with, you know, the top. You have to be the role model for the staff.
Task
Also,
for it to perform.
yeah, exactly. Also, I am a sticky note person, so you know, and, I think people will tell you I'm too visible sometimes.
I'll let you know if I hear this.
Okay, tell me please, tell me please, say, get her out of here. You know, the one thing I love that, if you could send that, that'd be great, because the resources and information and stuff. You know, the problem with administration is, and you know, Kelly, you'll attest to this. You know, you start out with such good intentions.
Oh, I
and you know,
And
you
it's
really-
meeting
but
after
then I'll
meeting.
tell you, you just get bogged down. It's like, where did my focus go? It's, well, it's because I've got this, this, and this.
Opportunity for teacher leadership. Here are my
Exactly.
3 sticky notes. Today, during planning, would you mind spending 5 minutes in each of these 3 classrooms and leave a little note?
Yeah,
You know, so that's part of the family. One of the other thoughts I had that I did not include in that is on the way we do our walkthroughs, when we do our other quarterly. Instead of going to a particular grade level, if we can plan it out enough, if I know that classroom management is my biggest problem, then let me go walk through some classrooms with good classroom management.
Really
So that,
differentiated.
so they're more particular. Those teachers that are, you know, pretty good at everything can go in classrooms that are really good.
We go through the PGPs. That's working out.
Anything else?
Good job, as always.
Thank
Oh,
you very
very
much
good.
for taking
Very
your
good.
summertime.
That was a lot of work.
Good information.
All right, just saying there is an end meeting button.
Ms. Zing, we got about 20 meetings coming up, don't we?
We do. Tomorrow's